anybody here for public input? Public input, okay. If not, then we'll move on to review and approve the city council agenda.
I'll move to approve with the items that were scratched out from the previous agenda.
Second?
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Item A is approve the Anderson Hughes contract. Item B, approve new fiber in the city hall. Item C, approve the new massage therapist license. Item D, approve JPA with the state of Minnesota and the prosecuting attorney's office. Item E, approve the MOUs modifying public works summertime work schedule. And F, approve the 2025 street improvements change order to include 28th Avenue repairs.
Just a quick question on A. We pay for that from the franchise funds, correct? All right. I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's passed. Then we'll move on to the regular agenda items. And number one is insurance and sale of general obligation bonds, series 2025A.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. Is it on the bottom?
It's right here on the side. Top. There
That
you
sounds
go.
like it's done. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, Tammy Updahl with Northland Public Finance here to present on this item this evening. I know that the city has been preparing for this for a long time and staff started their meeting today. This item relates to the issuance of general obligation bonds to finance the public safety and city hall improvements that are planned. The bonds were priced this morning, so I am here this evening to present the results of that sale. Your action item is a resolution awarding the sale of bonds. Before you consider that, a few details to offer. The final principal amount, the par amount of the bonds is $30,060,000. You had a resolution in your packet coming into the meeting this morning, which changed because the pricing of the bonds occurred today. So when you approve the resolution, the final amount is $30,060,000. The proceeds of the bonds will be used to pay construction costs and to pay the cost of issuing the bonds, which includes capitalized interest. We had talked at both a workshop and the last meeting that I was before you when you prepared for the sale. The bonds are structured to allow for a total debt service levy for bonds that does not exceed the amount that the city certified for pay 25. To achieve that required structuring the 2025 bonds in a manner, meaning the timing of principal payments, to allow for that. That is why the size is inclusive of capitalized interest. Prior to the sale, city staff did work and sought a rating from S&P Global. S&P did affirm the AA rating for the city. Congratulations to that. I would also note that rating was affirmed in S&P reviewing the bonds that are being issued. So they looked at the financial condition, the strength of the city's management, and determined to affirm that rating. So congratulations. When going out for a large issuance such as this for financing major municipal facilities, that's always a consideration for the rating agency and your ability, willingness, and to manage those funds and the repayment. So the affirmation in this case, not an upgrade, but the affirmation was good news for the city with respect to the bonds. The final true interest cost of the bonds with the $30,060,000, which includes the offering price and the premium, was 4.35%. I would note that yields were down since I was before you last, meaning yields to interest. So before you last, meaning yields to interest, So the results this morning, we're very pleased on your behalf to present those results, and it would be recommendation to approve the motion to approve the resolution awarding the sale of the bonds. Tonight is the award. The bonds will close on, and I should have that date in front of me, but I want to reference that date of when the city will have the proceeds, so let me get to that. The bonds will close on May 29th, and that's when the proceeds will be available to the city. With that, Mayor, City Council, I know, or I believe that there's some information in front of you. I would be happy to answer any more detailed questions that you may have for me. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Okay, do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All in favor?
Just wanted
Okay.
to make sure it's for the 30,060,000.
Okay, 30,060,000.
I have a question then before we, I keep seeing there's $2+ million other dollars in here. That where is that accounted for, or where is that coming from?
So that is in page 3 of the sales summary is where, Councilmember, you're referring to the $2 million. That was the reoffering premium. So in today's market, in the market for the last 5 or more years, that bonds are offered at a premium, meaning investors demand a higher coupon. So an underwriter, in this case Northland is underwriter, is paying more than the face value of the bonds. That $2 million will be available for covering debt service or deposit to the project construction fund. It will be up to the city to determine ultimately how those funds are used. So on page 3, you're referring to the reoffering premium. The $553,219, that's right below that, that is sales tax dollars that the city will contribute to the debt, its own debt service fund for cover of debt. The use of funds includes 20, so of that combined, which includes the $30,060,000 par amount of the bonds, plus the reoffering premium of $2,080,000, those are funds from Northland, plus the contribution to the city to its own debt service fund of $553 will fund the following: $29 million deposit to the project construction fund, the deposit to the project fund of $1,827,000. That is the balance of the premium after covering capitalized interest, which is the next line item. Capitalized interest is proceeds and premium that will be deposited into the city's debt service fund to cover interest payments in order to structure these bonds that the city's total levy that you make each year for debt service will not exceed that $2.35 million that was the target. So that's capitalized interest. And then the underwriter's discount is the underwriter fee, and cost of issuance includes the rating fee, bond counsel fee, and some other fees, for a total of $32.69. Your motion and the resolution is to award the par amount of bonds at the $30,060,000, subject to that premium.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Oh, thank you. All right, then we're going to move to item B, ordinance amendment, chapter 52, zoning related to the cannabis business in B3 sections, 2nd Street South Corridor District.
Mayor, council members, this request was initiated by city staff. This is a relatively minor amendment to our recent updates to accommodate the state legalization of cannabis and related businesses. Our intent had been to allow for retail option to be permissible in all the major commercial zoning districts, the B1, B2, B3. However, we inadvertently omitted the retail sales in the B3 with the ordinance we adopted in December. What this proposal does is bring parity to those to that ordinance for the B3 and establishes the cannabis retail, the on-site consumption at a licensed micro business, and the lower potency hemp side of things as well. So just aligns them with the other commercial zoning districts that we already accommodate the retail sales options in. We haven't had any submittals for anything in the B3 district yet, thankfully. But this would allow that to be open. And this is probably our most major commercial corridor. So I would recommend that adoption of this ordinance amendment.
Anybody have any questions for John? Otherwise, I need a motion.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and item C, a variance request, McMeredith Development Heritage Courts LLC.
Mr. Mayor, council members, this request was submitted by McMeredith Developments, DBA Heritage Court LLC, for a pair of variances from Wade Park City ordinances. Number one, the RM24, the moderate high density, increase their height from what the ordinance reads as 3 stories to up to 55 feet. The second was from the parking side of things, parking and loading requirements to reduce requirement down from the standard per unit to 1.75 stalls per unit. Being made to accommodate some specific design and configuration aspects of the property, working some natural features. Wetland impacts have been approved and reviewed. Who administers Wetland Conservation Act items. Was significant bedrock in the area. Really tightens up the building workable. The apartment, excuse me, the property is for an apartment building. It's already been platted, really ready for development. A handful of variances here that are being requested. The variances are height and parking aspects. The suitability regarding an additional apartment building is not under consideration. We did have quite a few number during the public hearing aspect of the planning commission. We recommend approval of the request with the condition the height limitation was set at 50 feet. Applicant was the 55 feet was actually my recommendation to include a little bit of wiggle room in case something came that necessitated an extra foot or for both 50 feet and a plan commission. Again, we side of things, these are typically senior oriented, so there's a less demand on parking. A lot of the seniors may not drive much, if at all. And most of the units are set up or intended to be set up as 1 or perhaps 2 bedroom units, not a huge parking demand associated with those. I did factor in during the staff review that, should the apartment building ever convert to standard kind of market rate housing that would not be senior oriented, the parking demand would still be met by the proposed parking stalls at 1.75 per unit. I think I'm comfortable with that. The parking layout was designed to utilize a buildable area while minimizing the impacts to the existing adjacent residences and also to work around the existing pond that is planned to be utilized to meet the stormwater management requirements. Our city engineer and public works director have been involved with discussions with the applicants here tonight, so we're comfortable moving forward. We think we're in a pretty good position should this be approved. As usual, with projects of this scale and magnitude, it's possible that minor reconfiguration of the site and parking layout may occur before construction ultimately would happen. But in any case, anything approved by the council tonight would apply if variance requests are approved. So there could be some deviations from the site plan you have in front of you, but I suspect it's probably not overly substantial. I believe that the applicant has demonstrated the practical difficulties that are required for variance approval. The difficulties and the hardship of the site is not self-caused, rather a feature of the natural environment of the property, and that they've done everything in their designed to minimize impacts on neighboring properties and the need for variances while still retaining a buildable area. I'm supportive of the variance request. One item that did come up during the planning commission meeting was questions of the traffic. There's a existing private drive on the north side of the site. That would be improved and retained by the applicants, not going to be a city street, not going to be owned or maintained by the city. We're not going to plow it, we're not going to build it. But there's a question on the increase in traffic for that because there's some residents, particularly along Ashwood Courtland North, that it abuts against their backyard. We did have some traffic counts performed on the existing Heritage Court development or Willow Park to the south. The average traffic is right in line with what would be expected for a standard apartment of that size, not overly high, not overly low, just absolute middle of the road. So there's just more for your information with that. And I have had a conversation or two with residents on that side of potentially putting in fences as well. So they're already at least looking to minimize impacts on their own. With the apartment project like this, where there's a parking lot aspect, we will require that this is standard for the ordinance, some screening around the parking lot, primarily to the fourplexes that are nearby to minimize glare from any movements of vehicles in there. But that would not extend to the driveway. That's exempted and not included under our ordinance. So if folks in that area wish to minimize that, they would be on their own to do plantings or fencings or something of their choice. But with those aspects being considered, I would recommend adoption of the resolutions as submitted, reducing the parking demand from 2.5 stalls to 1.75 stalls per unit, as well as the recommended action from Planning Commission to increase the maximum allowable building height from 3 stories or 40 feet up to 50 feet.
And can you describe the minimal use private drive? Doesn't make any sense to me.
What's there right now is basically an unimproved, it's a small gravel road. It really only services the outlot of this property. It's vacant right now. And then it is a connector for Miss Dockendorf, who lives on her private property to the west there. She has an easement to access the property using that private drive, although it's owned by the applicants, by Mr. McManus and Mr. Meredith. So they will have to work out kind of between them privately of, any cost share of plowing or anything like that or maintenance. We don't have a hand in that, but we would want to work with the applicants to be sure that it's been handled. But right now it's basically a very narrow gravel road. So it'll be widened.
Widen that?
Yep, it'll be wide, but the stretch is about 66 feet wide. So the road that's there now does not take up the entire width of that stretch. It's,
Are you planning to pave it as well?
yes. Yep, but that'll all be retained privately. That's not going to be turned over to the city for maintenance or anything.
And I
Yep,
just-
that was a recurring question that came up.
Okay, any other questions for John?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the variances.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Then we'll move on to D. Consider the Title VI plan.
That one's probably my baby. All right. The Title VI plan that you guys see before you tonight was written by your city attorney. It is a plan to cover any concerns the public might have regarding access to information based on race or ethnicity. This is a condition of the federal funding we got for the trail, and any other future federal funding we have would also require this type of information. It is an extremely scaled back plan at this point. Pretty much we are giving the public a means of filing a complaint, specifically with Lori as her HR title would be the appropriate person to do that. So basically it's a formal complaint process should somebody be concerned that they're not getting the information they need in their own language. Some of this is a little bit in flux right now with the federal rules, so stay tuned. We may amend this, but this is MnDOT's guidance right now. This is what we need right now to get our funds in place. And I will give you a little bonus information that's not necessarily Title VI, but late last week, we learned that grant we applied for in January to cover the city share of this was funded for us. Oh, so our local share is being paid by the state now. So we have federal money being matched by state funds. So our project cost went down dramatically.
Nice.
Good deal.
We also did get the grant for the Second Avenue crossing near the new Met Transit thing. That one is in its infancy. We kind of put that one in on a little bit of reduced information, but we did write appropriately to get that funds. So stay tuned on that one. I don't have any information on it because we haven't even dreamed that one up yet. But the money's in place. So good news on that end.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
I'll move to approve the Title VI plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Title VI plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Then we're going to consider the Public Works Assistant job description and hiring process.
Well, either one of us could probably take it. As part of our budget process, we had included in there an assistant position in Public Works that will assist the supervisors and the Public Works Director in their role. The position is a part-time position, so no more than 28 hours out of a week. That should help provide some of that assistance for them. The job description was reviewed by Baker Tilly, which they're the consulting firm that reviews all of our job descriptions, and it was pointed through them as well. So the job description, the points for the position would be a pay grade 2, which is actually consistent and with our other part-time positions that we have within the city. So the two actions before you this evening would be, one, to approve the job description, and then once you approve the job description, it would then be to authorize the hiring process to begin.
I'll make a motion to approve the job description.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the job description. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll move to approve the hiring process.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the hiring process. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Then we'll move on to approve the bills.
Move to pay the bills.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to pay the bills along with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And before we get too much farther, I do have a thank you letter from the Junior Achievement for the $5,000 we donated out of the gambling funds. All right. Otherwise, Shauna?
The fire study meeting is tomorrow at 5:30. If for whatever reason, because of my confusion with that, you showed up on Wednesday at 5:30, you could still hear the same presentation. However, it would be with the fire department. So I know that you all have signed up for that because I RSVP'd for everybody. So that's at 5:30 over in Sartell. And then the State of the City's address is coming up May 21st out at the Ledge. The lunch, it's part of our Waite Park Chamber meeting, which starts at 11:30 and goes till about 1. That same day, we're also going to be doing an open house at the Ledge from 4 to 7. And then just as a reminder, the City Hall and police departments did successfully move over to the Public Works facility last Friday. I have to just thank all of the staff in all of the departments for really making that work. Most of the stuff was out of there by Thursday. And when we put the sign up that said that we moved, we neglected to put that we were closed on Thursday and Friday, so we were actually open for business on Friday. So just because we had a few residents that wanted their things, and that was really only, we'd said we were closed, but when you have the sign, and then they came over there, so we tried to accommodate them the best we could. We weren't able to do that on Thursday, but the staff were able to do that on Friday. So things are going well. And so I believe on the 21st, we should start seeing some of the first bid packages from our construction manager on that.
Shauna, that's tomorrow, and that's Sartell Public Works Building?
Yeah, no, not Public Works. They're Public Safety. It's right on Pine Cone.
All right.
Yep, just down from,
That, right?
yep. And then two, we've had a lot of residents, for whatever reason, that think that this is where they come for City Hall, here in this. So please come over to 670 17th Avenue South to conduct business and let the school district do their own business.
Adri, do you have anything? No. Carla? Dave? Bill, John? Sir, Tony? All right. Our meeting is adjourned at 6:55.